Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. The International Society for the Comparative Study of Civilizations is holding its annual conference in July this year. It will take place at Monmouth University in New Jersey. Looking to find out more about the conference and also the Comparative Civilizations review, which just came out, I asked board member and editor-in-chief of the review, Dr. Joseph Drew, to share his thoughts on the conference, the journal, and everything civilizations related. Hi, Joe. It's great to see you.
Yes, and across these thousands of miles, it's like we're just sitting next door to each other.
That's true. Sort of the power of technology today.
Power of technology. Yes, you're right.
Joe, I asked you for this chat because I wanted to talk to you about the upcoming conference of the International Society for Comparative Study of Civilizations. So first of all, I'd like you to introduce yourself. What is your role at the Society?
Well, I've been a member of the Society for many years, at least 40 years. But for the last over 25, 26 years now, I've been editor-in-chief of the Society's publication, which is called the Comparative Civilizations Review. We come out twice a year, and we are in hard copy, such as this one, and we're on electronic, and we're now up to about 8,000 full text downloads every month. So it's doing very well. I also sit on the board of the International Society for the Comparative Studies of Civilizations, and I have been on and off since the 1980s on that board.
Regarding the conference, what is the topic of the conference is the future of civilizations. Why was this topic chosen? What is the story behind it?
We try to get innovative title for each of our annual meetings. We have a big annual meeting a year at least, either in the United States or abroad. And the last one having been when you were present in Bucharest, in Romania. I think civilizations, the term civilization, which is contested, is one of great attraction to theoreticians. But now it's surged into popularity because Putin in Russia is citing what he sees as his unique civilization as being in conflict with what he sees as a Western civilization. So the very concept of civilization and the attendant war, which is going on related to that concept, makes this a term of great poignancy today. And so I felt, and as others, that if we look to the future of the concept of civilizations, we could see and try to prognosticate or think about how this contemporary use of the word civilization might work itself out. It's a screen on which many topics could play.
What do you expect from the conference?
Oh, I'm looking forward to it a lot. It's set at Monmouth University, which is a lovely university. A certain historical resonance, because one of the great conflicts in the American War of Independence occurred there, near there. What I expect is that men and women from across the United States and from other countries in the world will come together to debate or discuss or present on the issues regarding civilization, of which there are many today. I think immodestly, maybe that we're the premier organization in the world that devotes itself to the study of the concept of the idea of civilizations. And so I think at Monmouth, we're going to have some interesting times and vigorous discussions, as we almost always do.
Well, you basically answered my next question, was why, if somebody's just watching this now for the first time and finding out about the society, is why would they join the society and attend the conference?
Number one, the organization is only as good as the creative natures of the members. because this is such a broad topic, and has had so many meetings since it was basically introduced in Europe 2 centuries ago. We need people to come and give us their point of view. And maybe those people can sharpen their ideas upon reflection after hearing what other people will have to say about their ideas. So if I were a person not affiliated with this organization, I would want to come to learn and to debate or discuss about the many aspects of civilization. For example, in this latest issue, which has just come out, there are some very thought-provoking articles here. The best one of which is the one you wrote, Bibi, called Is Music the Barometer of Society? Exploring how music mirrored society from the ancient world, China, and Central Europe in the 21st century. And then this next one is on Ottomanism and how it represented a transition in certain social structures from Byzantine times to today's Balkanism, he calls it, with conflict that have erupted, perhaps because of assumptions inherited from the old Roman Empire and Byzantines. Then there is an excellent article on the current global crisis and whether human civilization will survive this. All these are thought-provoking ideas that anybody would want to come and sit in the audience and give their opinion on. One about how American corporations are going through a paradigm shift, especially because we're now living in the United States in an age in which we emphasize diversity, equity, and inclusion as our American society greatly complexifies, especially we by the year 2044 will become a minority society with no group being in the majority here. So that's important. Then there's a terrific review, which will be very relevant at Monmouth, about the Russian author from the late 1800s, 19th century, named Danilevsky, who wrote a book, Russia and Europe, Comparing and Contrasting. And some of the ideas in that article, but in Danilevsky's book, inform Mr. Putin today. The ideas of pan-Slavism, Slavophilism, and so on and so forth, they're very much related to current issues. And then there are 3 articles in here by people from all over the world who are thinking about the architecture of civilizations. The first one by our former president, Dr. Tarkowski, looks at the possibility of extraterrestrial civilizations, and he brings in a Catholic viewpoint there. The second one, from an Iranian, talks about the fundamental bases of civilization, what he calls the body and souls of civilizations. And the third one, by a Chinese writer, talks about a certain number of years that create a model for the evolution of civilizations. And we have book reviews in here, by the way, also, which cover many fields. So it is a topic which should appeal to people who are what you might call Renaissance men and women. You know, people are more interested in broad theoretical approaches to how we live, why we live the way we do, and what our future is living together as a human race. Much more so than people who tend increasingly, especially in the academic world, to specialize in a small one little area, which is fine, except we go the other direction, try to be as broad and as big a history as we can generate to try to understand mankind's evolution, intellectual evolution.
This is a wonderful range of topics, really, from music to extraterrestrial. You reminded me of a book actually I'm reading now about polymaths. The history of polymaths. So how polymaths have often in history made that step forward.
The creative element in humanity, when we look, for example, at explorations, most people know that the Mongolian civilized empire civilization spread huge over a huge amount of territory in Eurasia. But who was the greatest polymath? Who was the greatest explorer of them all? It was probably the Polynesians, whose civilization went from the east coast of Africa all the way to Hawaii, which is the most isolated landmass in the world. How did they do it? How did they navigate? How did they understand the ocean in ways, for example, which the Europeans never do? We have a wonderful article on that recently, which showed that, Europeans traditionally have looked at the ocean waves and seen chaos. Oh, they just come crashing down. But that's not the way the Polynesians saw it. You have at least 3 levels. You have the swell, which goes on the top of the ocean. And that swell can go all the way from New Zealand to California. Excuse me. And then below you have streams in the ocean, currents. And these currents can diverge. So Polynesian navigators could feel the way the swell was going and the way the divergent streams were going in order to discover if 2 streams diverge like that, oh, there's going to be a landmass 100 miles ahead. So they combined the science of navigation with the stars, with the oceans, with what kind of strange maps they had, sitting naked on the floor of these double-hulled canoes. That was just brilliant and unusual. And I think when you look at mankind and you say many of our advances are because unique individuals are able to bring several different topics into focus on one issue. I think Einstein's greatness was that.
Yes.
He was no good in school. And he was no good in school because he saw things from a visual perspective, which you're not supposed to do. But yet he became the world's greatest physicist because he could visualize how time and distance were different entities. And he, that famous thing where he's going to work and he saw the faster the trolley car went, the skinnier the building appeared. And so he got the idea of relativity and so forth. So you're right. There are unusual men. This might be called the great man theory of history, but there are unusual individuals who come along who see things through a different perspective and thus open us up through a kind of a scientific revolution or an intellectual revolution to a whole new way of grasping fundamental concepts.
Very true. Joe, it's always wonderful and mind-opening to talk to you. So I think this is also a call for all of you who have not yet downloaded to download the copy, Comparative Civilizations Review, and come to the conference. So Joe, many thanks for this chat.
Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to try to pump the conference and to say that people should really consider coming. We look forward to people coming. We want them to come and to contribute and make it a more vibrant organization than it already is. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joe.